All right. Gervonta Tank Davis accused of ducking Vasyl Lomachenko. Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s president of his promotional company, Leonard Ellerby, CEO of Mayweather Promotion, sets the record straight. Will we get this fight between Gervonta Davis and Vasyl Lomachenko? Let's talk about it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and let's put a fork in a bunch of nonsense today. As we know, Vasyl Lomachenko had a dominating performance against George Kambosos on Saturday night in Australia and did something that nobody had been able to do, which is knock out George Kambosos. So, of course, Vasyl Lomachenko is flying high again in the eyes of the public. And I got to tell you, he should. He absolutely should be. People should be giving him a lot of credit, especially people that gave Devin Haney a lot of credit for beating George Kambosos. And why is that? Because he did the same thing. He went to Australia, fought in the front of the home crowd for George Kambosos, and knocked out George Kambosos to become a champion. That's the same thing that Devin Haney did when he went down to Australia to fight George Kambosos and become a champion. Now, though, the conversation shifted because Gervonta Davis said on Twitter that he wanted to fight Vasyl Lomachenko after he fought Frank Martin. You know, Tank with the Twitter fingers. Tank says he wants to fight Shakur. Tank wants to fight Vasyl Lomachenko. And I'm sure he said he still wanted to fight Devin Haney. He said he would rematch Ryan Garcia, that he would rematch Ryan Garcia at 140. Didn't say anything about doing it at 145. But, you know, he's saying, hey, man, I want this guy, I want that guy, I want this guy, I want that guy. All the way ahead, as he's working towards his fight on June 15th. So the pushback comes, obviously, and it's on Twitter and it's a bunch of it. So I'm going to address this. And Leonard Ellerby had addressed it. So let me go with what he said first. And this is not the first time he said it. This is not the first time this said on his channel. Stop trying to frame Gervonta Davis for a duck. That is way too overdone these days in boxing. Gervonta Davis did not duck Vasyl Lomachenko. Didn't happen. Didn't avoid him. Didn't do any of that. That's like saying to me, and I'll explain the situation. That's like saying, hey, man, I'm walking all around Chicago trying to avoid somebody that lives in Paris. I don't have to avoid him. He's in Paris. I'm in Chicago. We're in two different countries, two different cities located in two different countries. That's what is going on with Vasyl Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis. And it has been going down that way from the beginning. This originally started when people said that Vasyl Lomachenko was trying to make a fight with Gervonta Davis when they were both at 130. Floyd Mayweather Jr. said something about making the fight. I can't remember exactly what it was that Gervonta said, but there was a conversation where Vasyl said that he wanted to fight Gervonta. But let's be clear, he wasn't talking about Gervonta originally. When he originally said it, he was mad at Floyd because Floyd said something and said, hey, but how about I fight you, champ? And so the way that I remember it, it was that Vasyl, said something about fighting Floyd. And that was not too far after Floyd Mayweather, long after Floyd Mayweather Jr. it was around the time Floyd Mayweather Jr. had come out of retirement to fight Conor McGregor. So Lomachenko wasn't even talking to Gervonta to begin with at 130. But then what happened? Gervonta Davis moved Vasyl Lomachenko moved up from 130 to chase undisputed at 135. He beat Jorge Linares to become the WBA champion. He was then elevated to the WBA super champion. And then he wound up fighting, I do believe it was Jose Pedraza for the WBO belt. And then he went on and fought Luke Campbell and got the WBA belt. Then he went and fought Teofimo Lopez for the IBF. He was on a route to get undisputed. Gervonta Davis did not hold one of those undisputed belts. That was a tournament that was pretty much, and this is the way that Leonard Ellerby phrased it, that was a tournament that took place with Top Rank. So when exactly was Gervonta Davis supposed to fight him? While he was going for undisputed and Gervonta Davis didn't hold a title that would be considered part of that wouldn't be considered by fans and the media as a part of that undisputed process? No. So when exactly was this supposed to happen? Then again, Lomachenko lost to Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez lost to George Kambosos. George Kambosos lost to Devin Haney. And Devin Haney then dropped the belts and moved out of the weight class. So when exactly were these fights supposed to take place? Now, on the other side of it, beyond that, again, back to the analogy of the two different people in two different countries. Bob Arum is about to do the same thing again. Bob Arum just is going to has one guy from the WBC, from Top Rank, Shakur Stevenson with the WBC. He has two guys that fight on Top Rank cards, Lomachenko and Kambosos fight for the IBF, and is going to have a Top Rank fighter, Navarrete, fighting for the WBO. And then after Navarrete, if he does beat Baranchyk, which I think he will, if he wins that, then he's going to have Lomachenko fight Navarrete, and then depending on who wins that fight, they'll have him fight Shakur Stevenson. And then after that, they'll have him fight somebody else from Top Rank. So can we stop with this stuff that completely ignores the reality of boxing? It is not Gervonta Davis's fault or Lomachenko's fault or Devin Haney's fault or Ryan Garcia's fault that boxing works the way that boxing works. If you want to blame anybody for that, blame the media, blame the fans. Because we're the ones that say that will watch fights and are getting a championship sold to us and are very, very selective about when we want one guy to fight the other guy, one champion to fight another champion. Because Gary Russell Jr. was a champion at 126 for a long time with a bunch of champions over there in the UK and some fighters like Abner Mars and Leo Santa Cruz that wouldn't fight him. And everybody just blamed Gary Russell Jr. and put no pressure on them. So making these in-house tournaments something that is very, very acceptable to people and is sold to them in the media. But you can't, that is completely and utterly unfair to a fighter that does not have control over what the other fighters do. So, and specifically in the case of Gervonta, they have to actually come to Gervonta to make the fight because they have the belts. Gervonta has the name. Gervonta has the fan base. So it's a really, really wild situation. But just the idea that people continue to say Gervonta duck Lomachenko, these guys are, if they're off and they leave the country and go to France, you didn't duck them. They're just not there. They're not available. And you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do to get the fights that you can get. And it's a good and lucky thing for Gervonta that he's such a big attraction. Otherwise, he would be in the same situation that Gary Russell Jr. had been in for years as the WBC 126-pound champion. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.